Eleanor considered this. Protocol Omega gave her significant autonomy, but cooperating with time travelers from the future, even human ones, went well beyond its scope. Still, if what they said was true, the very existence of humanity might depend on their success. I will need to consult with my senior staff, she said finally, and examine the data you have provided more thoroughly. But provisionally, yes, you will have our cooperation. Captain Nyota smiled, relief evident in her expression. Thank you, Director. Humanity's capacity for decisive action in the face of the unknown remains one of our greatest strengths, even in my time. As the meeting concluded and they prepared to return to the main observatory deck, alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Eleanor rushed to the nearest communication panel. Report, she demanded. Director, multiple ships have just appeared near the Anomaly, came the urgent response. They don't match any of the approaching vessels we were tracking. Energy signatures are off the charts. Eleanor turned to Captain Nyota, whose expression had darkened. Those aren't part of your coalition? No. Nyota activated a small device on her wrist, speaking rapidly into it in a language Eleanor didn't recognize. After receiving a response, she looked up, her enhanced eyes reflecting the emergency lights. The Nautilus confirms. These are Precursor vessels. Precursors? Repeated Hiroshi. An ancient species long thought extinct in our time, explained Commander Liang, his voice tight. They were known to leave automated defense systems throughout the galaxy, systems programmed to activate in response to certain technological signatures. Like a Hawking bridge, Eleanor realized. You triggered their defenses by coming here. It appears so. Captain Nyota's face was grim. These are autonomous weapon platforms, Director. And if they're anything like the records we have, they're coming to close the bridge by any means necessary, including destroying this observatory, added Dr. Okafor, the temporal physicist, and potentially this entire star system. Eleanor felt ice in her veins, but her mind remained clear. Humanity had come too far, endured too much, to falter now. Then we will have to stop them. Tell me what you need, Captain. Nyota's eyes met hers, and in that moment, Eleanor saw 700 years of human determination reflected back at her. We need everything you have got, Director, and then some human ingenuity on top of that. Eleanor nodded. Then let's get to work. Humanity's future is watching. The observatory's command center transformed into a joint operations hub within hours. Future human technicians worked alongside Eleanor's staff, integrating their advanced systems with the observatory's existing infrastructure. The holographic display at the center now showed real-time tracking of the Precursor weapon platforms, 7 massive constructs of unknown material, each roughly the size of Earth's moon, approaching the Hawking bridge in perfect formation. Their design is biomechanical, explained Commander Liang, manipulating the display to zoom in on one of the platforms. Living metal combined with computational systems beyond even our understanding. They were ancient when the first humans walked upright on Earth. And their purpose? Asked Dr. Chun, who had joined the crisis team. To enforce stagnation, Captain Nyota replied, her voice hard. The Precursors seeded the galaxy with these automated systems before they transcended physical existence. They are programmed to prevent any technology that might threaten their ascension or allow others to follow them. Like time travel, murmured Eleanor. You knew the risk when you created the bridge. We calculated a less than 8% probability of Precursor intervention, admitted Dr. Okafor, the temporal physicist. Their systems were thought to be largely dormant in this era. Clearly, we were wrong. Eleanor studied the tactical display. How long until they reached the bridge? Approximately 14 hours at current velocity, reported a Nautilus tactical officer. The Coalition fleet is moving to intercept, but they are outmatched. The Precursor weapons were designed to end civilizations. What about closing the bridge from your side? Suggested Hiroshi. If the bridge is what attracted them, it wouldn't matter, interrupted Commander Liang. Once activated, their protocols will execute to completion. They will still destroy everything in this system as a deterrent to future attempts. Eleanor's mind raced through possibilities. These platforms, do they have any weaknesses? Their primary defense is a phase shift technology that places them partially outside normal space-time, explained Captain Nyota. Conventional weapons can't touch them. Their only vulnerability is their power core, which must periodically synchronize with our dimension to discharge excess energy. How periodically? Pressed Eleanor. Based on historical encounters, approximately every 37 minutes, for a duration of roughly 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Not much of a window. And what would happen if, theoretically, we could disrupt that synchronization? The future humans exchange glances. The power core would become unstable, said Commander Liang slowly. Eventually, catastrophic failure would occur, resulting in a localized implosion that would collapse the platform into a quantum singularity. Eleanor nodded. So we need to hit 7 targets simultaneously during an 8-second window, with enough force to disrupt their dimensional synchronization. What kind of weapon could accomplish that? Nothing in your current arsenal, Captain Iota said regretfully. And our vessels are designed primarily for exploration and transport, not warfare. Eleanor turned to Dr. Badawi and Dr. Okafor, her Dr. Okafor. The observatory's quantum interferometer array. Could it be repurposed to generate a targeted gravitational pulse? The two physicists looked at each other, a silent communication passing between them. Theoretically, said Dr. Badawi cautiously, but the power requirements would be enormous. And we'd need to precisely calculate the phase variance to match their synchronization frequency, added Dr. Okafor. One miscalculation and we'd miss our window. What if we use the anomaly itself as a power source, suggested Hiroshi. The Hawking Bridge is already generating enough energy to power a small galaxy. If we could tap into that, channel it through the interferometer array. Dr. Okafor looked stunned. That's either brilliant or suicidal. Possibly both. It could work, said the future Okafor, excitement building in his voice. The bridge operates on quantum harmonic principles. If we could construct a resonance tap, we need to create 7 simultaneous targeting vectors, interrupted Dr. Badawi. The observatory's sensor grid isn't designed for weapon targeting. Eleanor turned to Captain Iota. What about the Pathfinder probe? Could it act as a targeting relay? One probe can't target 7 platforms simultaneously. Nyota began, then stopped, her enhanced eyes widening. Unless, Commander Liang, the quantum entanglement communicators. If we equipped probes with linked QEC nodes, we could create a synchronized targeting network, finished Liang. But we only have 3 additional probes at the observatory. The Nautilus carries multi-phase scout drones, offered Nyota. They're designed for scientific survey, but they can be reprogrammed. Eleanor nodded decisively. Let's make it happen. Dr. Badawi, Dr. Okafor, both of you work on converting the interferometer array into a gravitic pulse generator. Hiroshi, coordinate with the Nautilus team on establishing the targeting grid. I will work with Captain Nyota on the power tap to the bridge. As the teams dispersed, Eleanor caught Captain Nyota's appraising look. What? She asked. In our historical records, Nyota said quietly, the Proxima Observatory was destroyed in a mysterious energy surge. All hands lost. It was considered one of the great tragedies of early human expansion. Eleanor met her gaze steadily. And now we are changing history. Nyota's lips curved in a smile that held both hope and determination. Humanity always did excel at defying expectations. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of feverish activity. Eleanor lost track of time as she worked alongside the future humans, modifying the observatory systems for a purpose never imagined by their designers. The power tap to the Hawking Bridge proved particularly challenging. Drawing energy from a temporal spatial anomaly without destabilizing it required mathematical models that pushed the limits of their understanding. Meanwhile, Dr. Badawi and the 2 Okafors, present and future, transformed the quantum interferometer array into what amounted to a gravitational weapon. The device, once used for delicate observations of space-time ripples, now hummed with potential energy, ready to generate gravitational pulses powerful enough to disrupt the phase synchronization of the Precursor platforms. Hiroshi coordinated the targeting network, working with Nautilus technicians to program the observatory's probes and the ship's scout drones. Each would position itself near one of the 7 Precursor platforms, using quantum entanglement to ensure their actions were perfectly synchronized. 2 hours to intercept announced a Nautilus officer, her voice tense. The Coalition fleet has engaged the outer platforms, but their weapons are having minimal effect. Eleanor looked up from her work, fatigue etched on her face. Status of the targeting grid, 5 of 7 nodes in position, Hiroshi reported. The final 2 are maneuvering now. The interferometer modifications are complete, added Dr. Badawi. But we have never tested this configuration. We don't know if it will hold together under the energy load. It will hold, asserted the future Okafor with quiet confidence. The mathematics are sound. Eleanor nodded, then turned to Captain Nyota. The power tap is ready. We have designed a quantum resonance channel that should draw energy directly from the bridge without disrupting its stability. Should, repeated Nyota with a raised eyebrow. Eleanor managed a tired smile. Welcome to bleeding-edge science, Captain. Even in your time, I imagine some things remain experimental. Nyota conceded the point with a nod. The Nautilus reports that the Cthal sovereign has initiated diplomatic contact with the Precursor platforms. Diplomatic? Eleanor's eyebrows rose. I thought you said they were automated weapons. They are, but they possess advanced artificial intelligence. The Cthal are attempting to reason with them, to explain our purpose. And if that works, it won't, Nyota said flatly. The Precursors designed them to be implacable, but it might buy us time. Time we need, admitted Eleanor. She checked the status board again. All targeting nodes in position. Begin power-up sequence for the gravitational pulse generator. The observatory hummed as energy began flowing through systems never designed to handle such loads. Lights flickered and the environmental systems stuttered momentarily before stabilizing. First synchronization window in 7 minutes, reported Commander Liang, monitoring the Precursor platforms. The Coalition fleet is pulling back to minimum safe distance. Charge at 60%, added Dr. Badawi. We will need at least 85 for an effective pulse. Eleanor moved to the central command station, taking her place beside Captain Nyota. Around them, humans from 2 different eras worked in perfect coordination, a testament to their shared heritage and determination. Diplomatic approach failed, announced an officer. Precursor platforms accelerating toward the bridge. Time to intercept, now 48 minutes. Can we be ready for the next synchronization window? Eleanor asked Dr. Badawi checked her readings. It will be close. Charge at 74% and climbing. The targeting grid is locked, confirmed Hiroshi. All nodes reporting optimal alignment. The minutes ticked by with excruciating slowness. Eleanor felt her heart pounding in her chest, each beat a reminder of what was at stake. Not just the lives of everyone on the observatory, but potentially the future of humanity itself. 83%, reported Dr. Badawi. 84. 85. We have minimum required charge. Synchronization window in 30 seconds, announced Commander Liang. All platforms converging on predicted pattern. Eleanor took a deep breath. Prepare to fire on my mark. The targeting display showed the 7 Precursor platforms, massive constructs of living metal and ancient technology, arrayed in a perfect heptagon around the Hawking Bridge. Their weapon systems glowed with gathering energy, preparing to erase this aberration from space-time, along with everything nearby. 15 seconds to synchronization, counted Commander Liang. Then, 5. Synchronization beginning. Fire, ordered Eleanor. The observatory shuddered as the modified interferometer array released its accumulated energy. 7 gravitational pulses, perfectly synchronized through quantum entanglement, lashed out across space. Each struck its target precisely as the Precursor power cores materialized in normal space-time for their energy discharge. That on the display, the platforms flickered, their perfect formation wavering. Direct hits on all targets, reported Hiroshi, excitement bleeding into his professional tone. Phase disruption detected in platforms 2, 4, and 7. The others are compensating, warned Commander Liang. Adaptive protocols engaging. Eleanor's mind raced. How long until the next synchronization window? 34 minutes, replied the future Okafor. But they will have adapted by then. The same attack won't work twice. Then we need to hit them harder, Eleanor decided. Divert all non-essential power to the pulse generator. Life support, artificial gravity, everything except communications and sensors. That will push the structural integrity of the array beyond safe limits, cautioned Dr. Badawi. We are past the point of playing it safe, Eleanor replied grimly. Captain Nyota, can the Nautilus provide additional targeting data? We need to identify any secondary vulnerabilities in those platforms. Nyota nodded, already relaying orders through her risk communicator. The Coalition fleet is moving to engage again, focusing on the damaged platforms. The lights dimmed throughout the observatory as power was diverted to the pulse generator. Eleanor felt the artificial gravity weaken, objects beginning to drift slightly as the field destabilized. Power at 112% of design capacity, reported Dr. Badawi, concern evident in her voice. The containment fields are showing stress fractures. Hold it together, Eleanor murmured, as much to the equipment as to her team. Just a little longer. On the display, the Precursor platforms regrouped, their formation shifting from heptagon to a more complex configuration. 3 of them, the ones hit hardest by the initial attack, moved to protected positions within the formation, while the others took up positions that would allow them to shield their vulnerable companions during the next synchronization. They are learning, observed Hiroshi, adapting their tactics based on our attack. So will we, Eleanor replied. She turned to the future Okafor. Doctor, you've studied these platforms. If we can't hit all 7 simultaneously during synchronization, which one should we prioritize? The temporal physicists studied the display intently. Platforms 1 and 3 appear to be coordinating the adaptive response. If we can disrupt those, it might create a cascading effect through their network. Targeting solutions updated, confirmed Hiroshi. Concentrating pulse strength on primary targets. 20 minutes to next synchronization, announced Commander Leong. Platforms continuing to advance. At current velocity, they will be in firing range of the observatory in approximately 26 minutes. Eleanor exchanged a glance with Captain Nyota. 6 minutes. That was their margin between success and destruction. Either they disabled the platforms during the next synchronization window, or they wouldn't survive to attempt a third attack. Power at 130%, reported Dr. Badawi tensely. The array is beginning to show signs of molecular breakdown. We are approaching the theoretical limit of the materials. Route emergency coolant to the critical junctions, ordered Eleanor. We need to hold it together for 20 more minutes. As her team worked feverishly to stabilize the overloaded systems, Eleanor found herself standing beside Captain Nyota at the observation window. Beyond the reinforced transparent aluminum, the Hawking Bridge glowed like a second sun, its swirling energies casting prismatic light across their faces. In our time, Nyota said quietly, there's a memorial to this observatory. A holographic monument on what remains of Earth, listing the names of everyone who was lost here. Growing up, I used to visit it with my parents. Eleanor nodded, understanding the weight of that statement. And now we are rewriting that history, Nyota replied, creating a new branch in the quantum timeline where humanity might avoid the void altogether. If we survive the next 20 minutes, Eleanor added wryly that Nyota's enhanced eyes reflected the light of the bridge as she looked at Eleanor. Humanity always finds a way, Director Wei. It's what we do. It's who we are. From the first time one of our ancestors picked up a stick to reach a fruit too high to grasp, to the moment we decided to tear a hole in space-time to save our species. We adapt, we overcome, we endure. Eleanor felt a surge of pride at those words, pride in her species, in its indomitable spirit that would apparently endure for centuries to come, facing challenges she could barely imagine. 15 minutes to synchronization, called Commander Leong. The Coalition fleet is engaging the platforms, attempting to disrupt their formation. Eleanor turned back to the command center. Status of the pulse generator? Holding at 140%, reported Dr. Badawi. But the containment fields won't last much longer. This will be our only shot. Then we make it count, Eleanor declared. All personnel, secure yourselves for possible gravitational fluctuations. Emergency protocols in effect. The minutes ticked down with agonizing slowness. On the tactical display, the Coalition fleet, ships from half a dozen species from 7 centuries in the future, harried the Precursor platforms, their weapons having little effect, but forcing the ancient constructs to continually adjust their formation. 10 minutes to synchronization, announced Commander Liang. Platforms adjusting course to compensate for coalition attacks. Targeting solutions updating in real time, confirmed Hiroshi. The grid remains synchronized. Eleanor moved to the primary control station, her fingers poised over the firing sequence. Captain Nyota took position beside her, monitoring the tactical overlay. 5 minutes, called Commander Liang. Coalition forces withdrawing to safe distance. Power fluctuations in the targeting grid, reported Hiroshi suddenly. Node 4 is losing coherence. Eleanor's heart raced. Can we compensate? Attempting to reroute through the remaining nodes, Hiroshi replied, his fingers flying across the controls. Partial success. We will have reduced effectiveness on Platform 4's targeting. It will have to be enough, Eleanor decided. All other nodes holding steady. Affirmative, confirmed Hiroshi. 1 minute to synchronization. Pulse generator at maximum capacity, reported Dr. Badawi. Containment fields critical. We need to fire within the next 70 seconds or risk catastrophic failure. Understood. Eleanor took a deep breath, steadying her hands on the controls. Around her, humans from 2 different eras stood ready, united in purpose. 30 seconds. The observatory trembled as the overloaded systems strained against their physical limitations. Warning alarms blared throughout the structure, only to be systematically silenced by the crew. Nothing could distract them now. Synchronization beginning, announced Commander Liang. Platforms 1 through 7 entering phase alignment. Fire, ordered Eleanor, activating the firing sequence. The observatory lurched violently as the pulse generator released its accumulated energy, channeling the power of the Hawking Bridge itself into 7 precisely targeted gravitational pulses. The lights failed completely, emergency illumination casting the command center in a dim red glow. Direct hits on all primary targets, reported Hiroshi, his voice barely audible over the groaning of the observatory's stress structure. Reading massive phase disruptions in Platforms 1 and 3. On the tactical display, the 2 targeted platforms flickered erratically, their perfect symmetry dissolving as their power cores destabilized. Arcs of exotic energy lashed between them and their companions, the quantum network that bound them together becoming a conduit for their destruction. Chain reaction detected, exclaimed Commander Liang. The link platforms are losing phase coherence. One by one, the massive Precursor platforms began to collapse inward, the advanced technology that had sustained them for millennia finally failing. Space itself seemed to warp around them as their power cores imploded, creating 7 miniature singularities that quickly evaporated in bursts of Hawking radiation. All platforms neutralized, confirmed Commander Liang, disbelief coloring his voice. The bridge remains stable. A ragged cheer went up throughout the command center. Eleanor sagged against the control panel, exhaustion finally catching up to her. They had done it. Humans from 2 different eras, working together to overcome a threat designed by a species so advanced they had transcended physical existence. Structural integrity at 63% and holding, reported Dr. Badawi. We will need major repairs, but the observatory will survive. The Coalition fleet is reporting success as well, added Captain Nyota, relief evident in her voice. All Coalition vessels intact. They are resuming standard positions around the bridge. Eleanor straightened, addressing the combined teams. Well done, everyone. We have bought ourselves time. Time to find the origin of the void and prevent it from ever existing. Captain Nyota approached, offering a data tablet. The Nautilus has completed its initial analysis of the sector. We have identified 12 potential locations where quantum experiments might lead to the void's creation. Eleanor accepted the tablet, scanning the information. Then our work is just beginning. But now we have something we didn't have before, Nyota replied. A real chance. Eleanor looked around at the diverse group of humans, some from her time, some from 7 centuries in the future, all united by the same determination, the same stubborn refusal to accept defeat. In that moment, she understood why humanity would survive for centuries to come, spreading among the stars despite the challenges they would face. Humanity, fuck yeah, she murmured with a smile, an ancient expression of pride her future colleagues had likely never heard. but they understood its meaning perfectly. 3 months later, Eleanor stood at the observation window, watching as the Hawking Bridge began its final collapse. The swirling energies that had torn a hole between 2 points in space-time gradually dissipated, the dimensional aperture shrinking with each passing moment. "Right on schedule," noted Captain Nyota, who stood beside her. "Our physicists calculated the bridge would become unsustainable after 92 days. They were accurate to within 6 hours." "Impressive," Eleanor acknowledged, "though I'm sure they'd have preferred to be wrong in this case." The past 3 months had been a whirlwind of activity. The coalition of future species had established a quarantine zone around the 12 identified locations where experiments might lead to the void's creation. Meanwhile, Eleanor's team, working with the future humans, had developed detection protocols that would identify the specific quantum signatures that might precede such a catastrophe. Most of the future visitors had already departed through the bridge before its collapse, returning to their own time to face whatever future awaited them. But some had chosen to remain, including Captain Nyota and a small contingent from the Nautilus, along with representatives from 3 other species. "Do you think it worked?" Eleanor asked quietly. "By staying here, have you created a new timeline where the void never exists?" "Our quantum physicists believe so," Nyota replied. "The multiverse theory suggests that every significant decision point creates branch timelines. By coming here, by intervening, we have created a new branch where humanity has foreknowledge of the danger. But your original timeline continues unchanged." Nyota finished with a sad smile. "The void still consumes Earth, still threatens to engulf all reality. We couldn't save our time, but we might have saved yours." Eleanor considered this. "And you're at peace with that? With being stranded here, centuries before your birth?" Nyota turned from the collapsing bridge to face Eleanor directly. "We knew it was a one-way journey when we volunteered. And truthfully, there's something fitting about it. Through us, something of our time, our version of humanity survives. Our knowledge, our technology, our memories, they continue here in this new branch." "A temporal lifeboat," murmured Eleanor. "Exactly." Nyota's enhanced eyes reflected the final flickers of the bridge as it closed forever. "Besides, this era of human history has always fascinated me. These early years of expansion, when humanity first reached toward the stars in earnest, they shaped everything that followed. The bridge gave one final pulse of light, then winked out of existence, leaving only ordinary space where it had been. Sensors throughout the observatory registered the event, recording data that would keep scientists busy for decades. "What happens now?" asked Eleanor. "Now," Nyota smiled. "Now we get to work. There's a void to prevent, new diplomatic relations to establish with the coalition representatives who stayed behind, and 7 centuries of technological advancement to carefully integrate into your society, all while maintaining the quarantine and monitoring for any signs of precursor activity," added Eleanor. "No small task. Humanity has never shirked from a challenge," Nyota replied. "It's in our DNA, this stubborn refusal to accept limitations. It's what carried us to the stars in your time, what helped us spread throughout the galaxy in mine, and what brought us back through time itself when faced with extinction." Eleanor nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a mantle she was proud to wear. "Humanity endures," always agreed Nyota. "It's what we do best." Together, they turned from the window and headed toward the command center, where humans from 2 different eras worked side by side, planning for a future that now held both promise and purpose. Whatever came next, they would face it together, with the combined knowledge, technology, and determination of a species that had proven, time and again, its capacity to overcome the impossible. The stars beyond the observatory's windows seemed to shine a little brighter, as if an acknowledgement of that simple, powerful truth. Humanity endures, and the universe itself would have to adjust to that fact.